Good morning, Boker Tov. Welcome back to Living with Emunah. Living with Emunah in the month of Emunah, Chodesh Nisan, the month of miracles, the month of Emunah, Pesach, Chag HaEmunah, the Yantiv of Emunah. So all of our Emunah learning all year round is getting us geared up and ready for this month and for this Yantiv. And please God, it should bring miracles in our time. We should welcome the hostages home and the soldiers safe, and peace and healing for all who need it. Emunah series is jointly sponsored by Doctors Avi and Bella Morgan, in memory of Rabbi Dr. Brian Galbert, in memory of Bella's mother, Dr. Ellen Shanzer. We remain incredibly grateful to the Morgans. This morning is sponsored by Rebecca and Evan Goldenberg in honor of Stephanie and Perry Friedman, anonymously for their full shlema of Nina Nikadam Bas Kessia, who's in the hospital, should have a complete and speedy refuah shlema. Anonymously, Nishmas Avram Avinu, Rosh Lama Aminim. Wow. Sponsored anonymously in memory of our forefather, Avram Avinu. And by Daniel Blum and Faye and Jeff Walkowitz, in honor of the Emunah Shir and the continued refuah shlema of Yardena Liba Basara Panina, should have a continued refuah shlema, and we should hear and celebrate good things and get tremendous nachas. Okay, as we always do, we got some Emunah emails to begin, and then we'll dive back into the sefer that we are learning, Emunah and Bitachon of Rav David Avu Chatzera. Dear Rabbi Goldberg, I feel tremendously blessed and fortunate to have discovered the Shiurim a few years ago. I feel that listening to Shiurim have added to much of my weekly learning. I finished Mesilas Yesharim with you and Igeres Ramban, which I have personally said once a week for years, and now there's a new level of understanding. That was the series we did in 10 minutes of meaning before Tanya. We started Tanya, part 3 we did this morning. If you want to listen, and generously, we're grateful to the FIDAX for sponsoring. You could listen to Tanya, but before that we did the letter of the Ramban, a letter he wrote to his son, but a letter he wrote to each and every one of us, of which it's said one should read it at least once a week in order to live it. And this author says she did. And now I'm so excited to be finally learning Tanya. Tanya is one of the things that's been on my bucket list for a while. When you announced it would be the next series we were learning, it was so natural to me. Of course, this is what Rabbi Goldberg would choose. Now, if only one could just put a good word into Spotify and Apple Podcasts, we're having trouble getting the podcast up. But please God, will be soon. For now, you can listen on YU Torah or on YouTube. This letter, along with many thanks to many hours of learning, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. My son Akiva ben Shulamit Yehudit will be headed into Miluim for 2 months in the beginning of Nisan, which is now. Akiva is a D9 driver operator. A D9, maybe you have the luxury of not knowing what a D9 is. That just shows how blessed we are. But a D9 is a bulletproof, as much as anything can be, bulldozer. He spent many months over the course of this war in Gaza, and in fact was part of the team that took down Sinwar Yamach Shemo. He removed the front of the house with his D9 so the drone could get in, and so they could determine if the home was booby-trapped, to help protect the troops that needed to enter. By the way, Akiva happens to learn Tanya too. Here's the part of the email. Ready for this? My request is for some decals that my son can give out to his fellow troops to put in their bulldozers. So she's asking for decals, which of course we'll send. Embrace your place, Achen Yesh Hashem b'makom hazeh. And she says they'll put in their bulldozers, personal carriers, and tanks, reminding them they are exactly where they're meant to be. Without them, there would not be safe here in Israel or anywhere else in the world, in my opinion. So that idea, what a privilege. Wow, what a blessing. That those decals, embrace your place, Yesh Hashem b'makom hazeh, we are where we're meant to be. We'll be sitting in bulldozers and tanks and personnel carriers in Gaza and fighting and doing their bidding. Unbelievable. I just got back yesterday morning. Baruch Hashem, I had the zchus to be in Israel 2 weeks in a row. And I was with my nephew who'd finished his service. And I asked him, how do you feel? What's going on in Gaza? And he says, I wish I was back with them. He says, they're going into Rafiq. They're going back into Rafah. I'm jealous. I want to be there fighting. I want to be there protecting the Jewish people. These are our soldiers and troops. And this Akiva ben Shulamit Yehudit, we should all daven he and all are safe and successful in all that they are doing. And please God, they should sit in these personnel carriers and tanks, collecting dust somewhere and not needed and not used. But of course, we're going to send Shians. Obviously, it's only Hashem who provides our safety and security. But what we are fighting now is a Mechemes Mitzvah. And as much as we need the learning is the mother of soldiers, I take that responsibility seriously, especially now. We need our troops in the front line doing their Hishtadlus. Akiva has learned and continues to learn in Yeshiva and Evyatar for close to 6 years now. My next son is starting basic training after 3 years of learning in Yeshiva in Itamar this coming week, Moshe ben Shulamit Yehudit. So if you can keep him as well as Akiva in mind for tefillos, that would mean a lot. So this mother has 2 sons, one going back, I think a third stint, she said, of Miluim, and now her son enlisting for the first time. We should certainly have them both in mind. As a mom and a mother-in-law of soldiers, working on my Emunah has been a real source of strength and comfort for me. In fact, I recently started a family chabura once a week with the women of my family in Israel, the U.S., and Canada, so we can meet on Zoom once a week and support each other while learning Emunah Bitachon together. We're using Shar Bitachon, Chavos Levavos, Beis Alevi, and Bitachon, and I occasionally slip in some of the amazing things I learned, as in let go and let God. So again, thank you for the moment. Give all my appreciation. And when I hear you run your campaigns and requests for donations, I do make a note to myself. When Hashem feels the time is right and I have the resources to contribute as well. All the best from Israel. And wow, these are also the unsung heroes of Israel, mothers who have two sons who are fighting, and they are living with Emunah in extraordinary ways. And how amazing and fantastic. This next letter is from someone sitting. Yeah, the names. Have them in mind. Maybe I'll post in the WhatsApp group. Yocheved, you'll remind me. Akiva ben Shulamis Yehudit, and Moshe ben Shulamit Yehudit. Have them both in mind among all of our soldiers. This next letter is written by one of our Emunah members. Your Emunah shir is transformed, blah, blah, blah. Hug from Hashem, messenger to make a kiddush Hashem. This past Shabbos, I woke up at 1 a.m. and experienced several hours of violent vomiting. I suffer from an autoimmune condition which requires me to live on steroids. When my body experiences the physical or emotional stress, I need to increase. As I was quite ill, I knew that I needed stress dose for steroids. My husband called Hatzal to take us to the hospital. As a result, I was admitted. I was in a room with a woman who was quite difficult, and the next day I was told they were changing my room. The reason for the change was unknown to me at that time. My physician ordered several tests to assess the cause of my problems. She also was concerned about something in my blood work which she needed to pursue. I hoped to be released on Sunday, but due to unusual blur on a CAT scan, it was decided to do another kind of scan on Monday, so I had no choice but to stay there, as there was a possibility of a serious medical issue. Thank you. Thank you. A serious medical issue. My new roommate was a non-Jewish woman, but from her conversations on the telephone, I ascertained that she was a religious woman, very active in her church. She was in the hospital to have a cardiac procedure to help her condition. Her procedure was scheduled for Monday. Sunday evening, again, the author of this email says, could have and should have been released earlier, was switched rooms and doesn't know why, and finds herself with this roommate in a room she shouldn't have been in and shouldn't have been in any longer. Sunday evening, my new neighbor started having breathing issues, and I asked if she was okay. She said no. I asked if I should call a nurse. She shook her head, and I called, and 2 nurses worked with her for over an hour until they got her breathing under control. The next morning, she told me I saved her life. She had been in such state that she was unable to pick up the phone to call the nurse. Had I not done it, she would no longer be alive. She also acknowledged that someone else in my bed might have just ignored her. I now know why Hashem orchestrated I should stay an extra night in the hospital. He made me the object of a kiddush Hashem to a non-Jewish woman. As you always say, you are where you're supposed to be. Hashem also gave me a big hug when the additional CAT scan was negative. Thanks for giving us the tools to get to appreciate all of Hashem's gifts. And we are certainly very grateful that that person is healthy, well, and back in Shir here this morning. Okay, next one. This is a special Pesach email, Emunah. Dear Rabbi Goldberg, we've been going to Orlando for Pesach several years, the family flying from lists several cities. What started as a modest operation has become a huge endeavor with 14 people, including 8 children under the age of 8, Baruch Hashem. We need so much equipment, food, a grill, you name it, that this year we decided to load up our van and drive more hours to listen to Living with Emunah, which secretly and now not so secretly my husband loves. This club of men who won't admit that they love, it's like asking for directions. They can't admit that they love listening to Living with Emunah. We rented in a 6-bedroom house with a pool, and we were really looking forward. Man plans, God plans better. After driving for a total of 16 hours, we pull up to the house in a popular gated community 48 hours before Pesach. Something's not right. I hear the strains of hard rock music emanating from the house, and it's not Rabbi Brody on the drums. Why are there people in our house? Hubby rings the bell, and a lovely non-Jewish family answers the door. Did we have the right address? Indeed we did. But the lovely family tell us that they have rented the house for the next 2 weeks. Hubby, usually cool, calm, collected, starts to sway in the doorway and cannot speak. The color drains from his face. I remain calm, but instantly understand we are an inch away from disaster, material and spiritual. Pesach starts in 2 days. I have enough food to feed a very hungry football team, salmon and brisket that's now slowly defrosting. Some of the kids from out of town are already en route, and there are more supplies, appliances, strollers, cribs, romaine lettuce, wine, don't ask, being delivered to the now occupied house in just a few hours. Hubby can't talk. He's frantically gesturing, but no words coming out of his mouth. The lovely family see his distress and invite us in. We decline. When my husband finally finds his words and explains that we're also booked this house, and the family actually invites us to use their spare guest room for our holiday, and they feel terrible. They don't know anything about Pesach, but they feel that something catastrophic has happened. Now, the contrast of the mother of two soldiers and tanks and personnel carriers and Pesach in Orlando shouldn't be lost on any of us. But in the moment, each person's crisis is their crisis. And relative to others, and it's a very healthy reminder, hubby comes back to the car and is in a panic, dialing the rental agent. When he finally reaches her, she says, "Ooh, I made a mistake. How about you guys just go to a hotel instead?" Completely unaware of what Pesach entails. And then I realize, it's the Yam Suf. This year, Pesach is starting early. We're not just going to read about it this year, we're going to experience it. Time to start walking in. No time to waste. I tell my husband to get in the car, sit down, let's see what happens. He's beyond himself, and at this point, just follows my instructions. Like a good Jewish husband, that's my editorial comment. It's sunny here in Orlando, and I remember the one thing that now, looking back, saved our Pesach. I put my Emunah glasses on. I then pulled over onto a nearby street and calmly took out my phone and write a text to the 3 largest WhatsApp groups of Jews that are in Orlando for Yontif. Chevra, I type, our family of 14 has lost its accommodations for Pesach. I know it's a huge ask, and Yontif is 48 hours away. We aren't picky. Please help us in any way you can. I lean back. I'm humming a niggin, waiting for the sea to part. My husband is looking at me, wondering if I've truly lost it. And then, this is in bold in the email, Am Yisrael, the greatest nation that has ever lived, replied immediately. My texts were blowing up with offers to stay with total strangers, 14 unexpected guests for Seders, and with the ideas how to help us find a house. My husband's on the phone with the kids who are at JFK wondering if they should just stay put. No, I say, just walk through the Yam Suf. Get on a plane, ditto to the kids who are 10 hours into their drive, just keep going. Just like Mitzrayim, there's no alternative to turn back. It's too late. Then my phone rings. It's a lovely young Chabad couple from Miami who rent houses in Orlando for their parnasa. Where are you? The Rebbitzin asks. When I tell her, she says, perfect. You're 2 blocks from my house. We have that's available. The issue is it's 13 bedrooms and 13 times the price of our original house. I tell her thank you anyway. She asks me what was the price of the original rental and then puts me on hold. She returns and says, please just go to the house. It's yours. The same price as your original rental. My husband protests, but they insist. And she says, get in the house and start making yontif. You'll pay us later. We're total strangers, and without a second of hesitation, she gives us the house code. I thank Hashem, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, for raising such people. It's very dusty in here this morning. I thank Hashem and the Lubavitcher Rebbe for raising such people, these Chabadniks. The Ger Rebbe for teaching us to channel the fear. Mostly, though, I thank Living with Emunah for teaching us about Emunah. It's a revelation and a revolution. I love that. Living with Emunah is both a revelation and a revolution. I smile at my husband. See? Yam Suf came early. He's still kind of shell-shocked. We drive 2 blocks and walk into the house, more like a palace. There's a dining room table set with 14 seats. Hashem is winking. I cannot believe it, but I can. As if it wasn't enough, the Chabad couple had, it turned out, also rented homes to Yishai Ribo, and he provided her with free tickets, which she gave to our family for Chol Hamoed concert. Here's what I learned from my years of listening to Living with Emunah. You never know when the Yam Suf will open before you. It's too late to prepare in that moment, so you have to prepare every day in advance. You have to make sure you've topped off your Emunah bank account, so when the moment comes, you can make a withdrawal, so you can embrace your place and move through the challenge. To this day, my husband says watching me in the car and make my Emunah withdrawal was the highlight of his Yontif. Mine too. P.S. We're staying home for Pesach this year. It's beautiful, calmer, more affordable, much easier to organize. But here's a little advice. If you decide to go to Orlando for Pesach, it's very sunny there. Trust me. Don't forget your Emunah glasses. Bring the tinted pair. That's one of the great Emunah all-time emails. What a great email. What a great email. Ay, there's so many more, but we want to learn. So I'll tell you one more insight before we begin learning. And that is the following. So 2 days ago, I was on Paran with my children and my grandchildren, and I was pushing the stroller. And my granddaughter, the older sister, how old is Mary? We're supposed to know this, we're grandparents. 19, 20 months. She insists on pushing her sister's stroller, but she could barely reach the bar. So she's pushing, and every time I try to just help her, like a very strong-willed young woman, she gets it from her Bobby. So she's pushing me away. And I'm trying to push her because she's about to push her sister into the street in Paran. And she's pushing me away. So I just go to the front and I hold on to the awning. And while she's pushing with a big smile and happy, she's doing it all by herself. I'm really holding on to the awning, to the cover, and I'm guiding it and making sure she's okay. And my beloved daughter turns to me and she says, Abba, it's just like your Emunah shir. It's just like Hashem. We think we're pushing in life. We think we're in control. We think that we're driving, and really He's holding on, and all along He's taking us in the direction we're meant to go. And oh, what a nachas moment. When your daughter gets it, and she's helping provide you material for your Emunah shir, that's my Leora. So what a beautiful moment, and I love that. Is that just like my little granddaughter, we're all 20 months old, and we all think we're driving our car, and we all think we're in charge through life, and we all think we're pushing the stroller of life. But the truth is, if we were pushing the stroller, we'd go right into the street. Thank God Hashem is holding on the other end, and He's guiding us, and He's grabbing us, and He's taking us, and He's protecting us where and when we're supposed to and where we're meant to be. Okay, we are on page, I believe, Lamed Gimel. Does anyone want to agree or disagree? I'm pretty sure that's where we are. Hishtadlis ad kama, we're on the next parak. Rav David Abu Chatzera is dealing with the question. Again, this sefer came out during the war. Rav David Abu Chatzera Shlita, who lives in Nahariya, in the north of Israel, the very north of Israel, was living with rockets, bombs, and the threat of Hezbollah, and gave these shiurim, and the sefer came out under that in that time. And now this next parak deals with hishtadlas ad kama. How much effort, how much initiative do we need to make? This is really a seventh day of Pesach question, because like the author of the Orlando Emunah email, on that seventh day, just a couple weeks from now, we'll all be standing opposite that sea. And Hashem says, what are you doing? Why are you davening? Get moving. Get walking. So we know, we demonstrate and we communicate our Emunah in our heart, but also with our hands and our legs. You got to take initiative. You got to take action. You got to solve your own problems. And in fact, to a large degree, this is, now's the shameless plug for the Shabbos Hagadol Drasha. This is the theme of the Shabbos Hagadol Drasha. The windy road of redemption from Galus to Geula. Why do we have to go through Galus before we get to Geula? How can we embrace our place in Galus that in fact gives us a sense of Geula to break out? Why is it the last 2,000 years we take 2 steps forward and 1 step back? And the last 80 years, from the Holocaust to the state of Israel, 2 steps forward and 1 step back. And for the last year and a half, in the war of Israel, it's 2 steps forward and 1 step back. And in all of our efforts for finding a shidduch and having children and shalom bayis and earning a parnasa and taking care of our mental health and our physical health, it's 2 steps forward and 1 step back. Why did Hashem create a world such a way that we have to embrace our place? What can we get out of it? How much initiative do we take and how much emunah should we have? Do we let go and let God, or do we solve the problem and bring the geula ourselves? All of that, this Shabbos, almost as long as Cory Booker's speech, but not quite. I said, I'm not impressed with him, because he said that in order to not need a bathroom break, he fasted and he dehydrated himself. I give the Shabbos Hagadol Drasha after 3 Shabbos meals, Shalashidus, off the record, visiting a couple of kiddushes. That is, so he's not impressing me. Anyway, so that is our topic for the Shabbos. Join us, and no, it will not be recorded. That is the one last thing. Shabbos Shuvah, Shabbos Hagadol are the last things that are just our community, our intimate community, our local community. As much as we stream and we share, we have to keep something to the family. We have to keep something for ourselves, so we don't give it again after Shabbos. We don't record it. We do provide the outline and the sources if you want to go through it yourselves. And if Hashem enables me to stretch more hours into the day, please God, somehow we will get that done. I'm not sure exactly how. So Hishtadlis ad kama, bottom of page Lamed Gimel, and I posted the source sheets in the WhatsApp group. We opened the second WhatsApp group because the first one ran out of space. So if you're watching or listening, but you're not yet part of it, go to rabbiefremgoldberg.org/WhatsApp and join all the WhatsApp groups to get up to date on the schedule and bonus material. Yadua lakol shemitchila haya adam harishon yoshev began Eden vayumalach yashar tzolenu babasar umesan lo yayin. The Gemara in Sanhedrin Daf Nuntes tells us that originally Adam Harishon, Adam, was created and sat in the Garden of Eden, and the angels were busy barbecuing for him. Today we have barbecuing for soldiers, heroes who barbecue for soldiers. Many days I wake up to pictures from Jeff Seidel of the barbecue he made the night before for soldiers, one of the great heroes. So today we have organizations barbecuing for soldiers. In Gan Eden, the angels were busy barbecuing for who? Adam Arishon. He was the only occupant, the only citizen, the only resident, and then later joined by Chava. But that's all that was happening, a big barbecue. Notice it doesn't say the Malachi Asharis were mixing the kale salad. That's Gehenna, not Gan Eden. They were busy, Solon lo basar. They were busy making a barbecue, fleish. They were busy roasting the meat, Masanan lo yayin, and they were straining the wine, delicious wine. But what happened? He blew it. Could have been that way forever. Could have sat under palm trees, enjoying the barbecue. It sounds like a Pesach program. The midnight barbecue, the open bar, the kinwa sushi, the rolling cigars. That was Gan Eden. But what he blew it. He made a mistake. Pesach came to an end. He was kicked out. And now you want a barbecue? Get to work. You want bread? Work the field. You want a barbecue? Hunt the animals. You want wine? Run a vineyard. So it went from Adam being handed everything in a silver spoon. The original intent, the original design of the Almighty was that we'd live in a world where we were given everything. And what were we meant to do? Why create us? All that was left was to bask in the glory of God, to immerse ourselves in His sacred Torah, to teach, to learn, to connect to Him, and to bring light into this world. That was all that we were meant to do. But then we made a mistake, a fateful error, and we were expelled from Gan Eden. We were cast into a world in which we need to work and take initiative and make effort. Nothing is handed to us. We have to work hard for it. And that's the world and the life that we now have. By the way, Mashiach, what we long for and daven for, Tzipis Yeshua, will be judged. Did you long? Did you desire? Were you driven for a time of Mashiach? When Mashiach comes, it's not going to be a supernatural world. It's going to be a similar world the way we live now, but instead of having to work, it'll be back to Gan Eden, where everything's handed to us. There'll be no wars. We'll live in safety and security. And what will we do with our time? Sit and learn and teach and transform and redeem and repair the world. Someone recently shared with me, someone who's a big proponent and student of AI, artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is an incredible danger and threat. A lot can go wrong with it. It is creating a world in Olam HaSheker. Rav Shor, who was here recently, shares that AI, he's very afraid, is turning the world into an Olam HaSheker. Why? Because you can recreate and manufacture fake videos, fake speeches, fake images. It's a world of fake. You don't know truth from falsehood. And that's a very dangerous world. But this person I was speaking to sees in AI the opposite. Today you could talk into AI and it could do almost anything you need done. And we're just at the very beginning of it. And AI will be able to accomplish so many tasks that take us so much time. And hopefully one day index our Emunah Shiurim and so much more that we want to do. And he said, AI could be what ushers in Yemos HaMashiach. If there is a feeling that we are in the Eschata de Geula, this is the era and the days that please God of Mashiach, AI could be taking care of all those things that all that will be left for us to do is sit and learn Torah and fill the world with light. And AI will automatic driving cars, automatic laundry machines, automatic cooking, automatic, all those things that we have to do. AI will order and replenish and restock, that will get delivered and that will put it right into AI one day. That's his image of AI. So the world we were in is the world that we're so busy trying to get back to. You understand that that's what this world is all about. Hashem created a world of Gan Eden, and we had a certain life and lifestyle. We blew it, we messed up, we were expelled from it, cast into this other world where we have to take initiative and work. And all we're trying to do is get back. All we're trying to do is repair a world and repair ourselves and get back to that place. And certainly in the world of mysticism, in the teachings of the Arizal, in the teachings of Kabbalah, so many of the mitzvahs we do are a tikkun, they're a repair for Eitz Hadas. The Eitz Hadas, eating the matzah. Almost every yontif, you'll find somebody who describes that what we're doing is trying to undo and repair with a mindfulness and a presence and elevating our actions to get back to Gan Eden. How do we get back there? Through Mashiach, please God. But alas, we are now in this world where we have to work. You got to go to work. You got to take initiative. If you're sick, you've got to go to the doctor. You got to take medicine. You got to undergo therapy. If you want bread on your table, you've got to work. And the source is in the Medrash and Parshas Re'eh, Pasuk says, "V'yirachecha Hashem lekecha," God will bless you. Yochel batel tamad lomar b'chol asher ta'aseh. It says God will bless you. Now you might think, good. I'm sitting back in my recliner. I'm putting my legs up. I got a massage chair, and God will bless me. Bring on the blessings. I'm going to open the app. I'm going to watch my bank account just go up. After all, it says God's going to bless me. I'm going to see my children just be married. I don't have to answer any calls. I don't have to network for my children. I don't have to deal with any references. They're just going to be, I'm just going to live in a world. I'm just going to lean back in my recliner, and every ailment, every ache, every illness will just be healed. After all, the Torah promises Hashem is going to bless you. So bring it on. Hashem, I'm ready. Kick back, sit back in that recliner, and have Pesach just be ready. But what does the pasuk continue with? Says the Sifri, Hashem is going to bless you. How? With what? B'chol asher ta'aseh. With all that you do. So what's the prerequisite to the blessing? What's the foundation of the clay kibble? What's the vessel to receive the blessing? Do. All that you do. All your effort, all your initiative. All your effort, all your initiative, all your ishtadlus. So that's a given, and that we know. And that I hope we all know. That you have to do ishtadlus. We have to take initiative. We have to create the vessel to receive the blessing. But now the danger comes in. Once we're living in a world, and once we're taking initiative, once we're making effort, what can happen? Now we mistakenly think it's all about only my initiative. I have to go to work, and I have to work harder, and I can't earn all that money. And when I do, it was all me. I get the credit. It's my honor, my glory, my pride. I am responsible for my success. It's all about me. You see this in what area more than any other? This is pointed out by the Vilna Gaon. Shlomo Zalman has something on it. In the area of Shidduchim. The area more than any other of life where Hashem says, in finding that balance between Hishtadlus and Emunah, between initiative and belief, we have to find the balance. And there's one area where Hashem says, lower the Hishtadlus and lean into the Emunah. And what's that? Shidduchim, getting married. Why? Because after all, the Gemara tells us that since Mishesh Shmei Abreshus, God created the world in 6 days, then he rested. He's retired. He must be bored. How much mahjong can he play? How much shuffleboard can he shuffle? What's he doing with his time? Lahavdil, Chazal wonder. And our rabbis say, you know what he's doing? Since he retired from creating, he's been busy with making shidduchim, mezaveg zivugim. He is connecting pairs. And I got to tell you, you see it in life. There are people who are so interesting, so fascinating, have such idiosyncrasies, and they're married, and you see in their spouse, Hashem made them the perfect spouse. They complement, they share some of these unusual attributes, traits, behaviors, and you say, Hashem, you are the greatest shadchan ever. That's amazing how you brought and put those two together. That's what he's busy doing. That's what he's busy doing. And indeed, he declares it. He proclaims it. The Gemara at the beginning of Sota tells us that 40 days after conception, Hashem says that this person, Bas Ploni LaPloni, a Bas Kol Yotzes, a heavenly voice goes out and says, so-and-so for so-and-so. So the Vilna Gaon, the Gaon writes, based on this, that Hashem himself is doing it. It doesn't say Hashem is busy with your parnasa. It doesn't say Hashem is busy healing the sick. It doesn't say Hashem is busy ending wars. He's of course doing all those things too. But if our rabbis emphasized and highlighted what is he busy doing since he retired, he's making shidduchim. What they meant to tell us is, get out of his way. In all the other areas, he invites you be his partner. When it comes to shidduchim, take your initiative, because you can't rely on miracles. But after you take your initiative, get out of his way. A lot of people get in his way. We create problems. I'm not going to get into this now because it's not for Living with Emunah shir, but I have a lot of thoughts on this subject. How many layers of problems we've added to the area of shidduchim. We've gotten in his way in so many ways. I won't list them now, but we have created so many barriers and so many obstacles, and we have gotten in his way. And he says, I got this. I got this. This is what I do. This is what I'm busy with now. And I'm in charge. So yes, I need you a little bit. You got to do something. You can't sit back and just wait for it to happen. But once you've done the little bit, get out of my way. Stop adding and interfering and creating problems and adding layers. Get out of my way. And Shlomo Zalman writes, he bemoans the fact that in the area we're supposed to lessen, lower the knob of Hishtadlus initiative and increase the Emunah. Hashem, I'm doing my initiative, I'm doing my part, and now I'm getting out of your way. We do the opposite. This is an area where people do excessive Hishtadlus. 17 reference calls. We need to see some bank statements. I'll need some laboratory. I'm going to have some blood samples. We add layers and layers and layers of problems. We find every reason to say no and not give a yes. We find every reason to have a problem instead of a solution. In the area where we're supposed to have less initiative and more faith, we have excessive initiative rather, and less faith. But that's a danger. That's the danger of the fact that Hashem created the world now that we need initiative. And it's lost on man. We didn't get a manual. There is no instruction book that says, now that you need to take initiative, here's how much. Go home from work at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. What time should you go home from work? How much initiative do you have to take? Work 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, 14 hours a day? How much initiative do we need to take? Health. How far do we need to go in preserving and protecting our health? How much initiative do we have to take? Exercise a little bit? Exercise a lot? Exercise too much? How much? How much? When do we say this pasuk that we love? We spoke about it a few months ago. Tehillim Perak, Kapitel Nun Hey, Pasuk Chav Gimel. Tehillim chapter 55, verse 23. Hashlich el Hashem Yahav. Cast on Hashem all your problems. Throw on Hashem all your issues. Throw it all on Him. He's got it. When do we say that? So where do we find this balance? When do we cast it all on Hashem? And let me get back to my learning and my chesed. And when do we say, no, I got to solve this. It's on me. It's on my shoulders. It's on my back. I've got to take the initiative. I've got to show the leadership. Where do you draw that line? Where are those boundaries? How do you find that balance? That is the magic question that we are going to explore together. We're going to explore together. Look at footnote Kuf Yud Beis, footnote 112. Ukemashalo, this question is like the mashal Shal Maggid mi Dubno. The famous Maggid of Dubno in his Oel Yaakov, Parshas Yisro, has the following. Mashal ani shayolech b'derech. There was a poor person who was on the way. V'chavilaso al shechmo. He was carrying his package, his baggage, and it was incredibly heavy. And there was somebody who was traveling. There was a merchant who was going. Climb in. So there was someone going in their wagon, and they passed this poor person who's carrying this incredibly heavy baggage luggage, and they said, "No, climb in, get in." And they got in. And now the wagon driver, this merchant, this wealthy man who's got the transportation, turns around and he sees the poor man who's sitting in the back. He's still holding on to the baggage on his shoulder. He's still holding it in his arms. He's still carrying it in his hands. He says, so why are you still holding on to it? Put it down and rest. Put it down and relax. Put it down and let go. So what happened? Sorry, Vayomer ha'ani, dai lecha adoni, masha tizbol masa gufi, tizbol od masa chavilasi. I'm not putting it down because it's so nice of you and kind of you. And it's bad enough that you have to carry me in the wagon. You also have to carry my luggage? I'm going to put it down? Amar lo. So what does the wagon driver say? Fool. Even when it's on your shoulder, who's carrying it? It's still adding weight to the wagon just because it's in your arms or on your shoulder. Fool. This whole world is being driven and operated by Hashem. What do you think when we hold on to our baggage, when we hold our fist tight, when we hold on to our problems, and we hold on to our baggage, and we hold on tight to it all? What do we think? We're making it better for Hashem? He's already carrying the whole world. Put down the baggage, let it go, lighten your load. Hashem can carry it. He's got it. He's got it. So therefore, whatever baggage you're carrying, whatever hardship or challenges, whatever struggles or suffering you're going through, put down your baggage. Hashem's got it. You'll lighten your load, and he can carry it. It doesn't make it any heavier for him. That was the mashal. That was the parable of the Maggid of Dubno, of the Dubno Maggid. And this is the big question. How do we find that balance? In many ways, it's what Pesach is all about. On the one hand, Hashem says, certainly Makas Bechoros, stay home, lock the door, there's nothing for you to do, I've got it. Fast forward a few days, standing opposite the sea, and the people say, okay, God, you've got it. The Egyptians are running behind us. The sea is closed in front of us. We're panicking. This could be the end. But you taught us, you've got it. So what are they doing? They're davening. You've got it. And Hashem says, what are you doing? Start walking. What are you doing? What are you doing? Think you just sit back? Think you're just a spectator? You think you're just watching? Start walking. This is your Kriyas Yam Suf moment. Start walking. Start walking. Get going. Get going. Get going. So in Pesach itself, the Chag Emunah, we have this tension. Are we supposed to stay home and lock the door and Hashem, you've got it, everything on the outside? Or start walking? We're the ones who take the initiative. We're the ones who make the difference. We're the ones who solve the problem. Is it on him? Is it on us? How do we live in this world? How do we find that balance? And this is a very real, you'd say, halacha l'maisa question. It's a halacha l'maisa question. Halacha l'maisa question. How many hours should you work? When do you call it a day and go home? How much do you have to do to heal yourself? And when do you say, I saw a doctor, do I need to get a second opinion? Or it's in Hashem's hand anyway, so can Hashem operate even through the local doctor, not the greatest expert on earth that all the Jews have to go find and track down and go to? I think I mentioned once, we had a child from our community, Baruch Hashem Bli Ayin Hara, is better and married and healthy and a mother, but who was sick in Sloan Kettering, and I went several times to visit in New York. And I saw there was a disproportionate number of religious Jews, Jewish children. And I asked someone there, what's the deal? Do Jewish children disproportionately, chas v'shalom, get cancer? And the person said to me, no, but Jewish families disproportionately insist on only going to Sloan Kettering. Because everyone else, the local hospital is good enough. They don't expect more. They don't have any more connections. They can't get in anywhere else. And that'll be good enough. But and it's one of the beautiful things about Jews. We have entire organizations that are dedicated. It's a beautiful thing. The cynic can say, oh, those Jews, they need their connections. But it's a beautiful network of Jews who take care of total strangers. We have entire organizations that for free, you make a phone call and say, here's the condition, the malady, the illness. Who do you recommend and how can you get us in? The places nobody can get in. The line is so long. Jackie Mason's whole routine, Olav Shalom. My doctor is so good, you can't get in to see him for 5 years. He has a whole routine about how good the doctor is and how long it is to see him. And yet these organizations, Rofe, Refuah, you have all these organizations. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. But do we need it? Why show that hishtadlus? Why not just say, Hashem is the real doctor. So flip to the phone book, whoever you get, go see, and Hashem is going to operate through their hands. That's Emunah. Or do you do the shtadlus that says, get a second opinion, a third opinion, track down the mumche, go to the expert, insist, break in, get an appointment today. Someone needs an MRI. Everybody else waits till you can get the MRI. Jews say, who do I know that I could get an MRI within the hour? Why do we need that shtadlus? Maybe get the MRI whenever it is that you got the opening to get the appointment. If you're in Israel, it's 3 months. If you're just whenever you get the MRI, show it's a halacha l'maisa shayla. Hishtadlus or Emunah? What's the answer? How much effort and how much faith? How do we figure that out? You're running a campaign to build a campus, to transform a world. Do you work on it from morning to night? Or do you say, Hashem, someone send somebody to knock on the door and just drop off the money? And to announce that they had a few extra million they weren't sure what to do with. So they're giving it to you. That has not happened yet, by the way. This is halacha l'maisa shayla in all these areas. And that's why next week we'll pick up with it. What do we do? How do we draw those boundaries? What's that winning formula? But that's what Pesach's all about. I'll end with this. This is a conversation for the Pesach table. Maybe not the Seder table, maybe yes, the Seder table. But if not the Seder table, you're also allowed to talk about holy things, even during the other meals of Pesach as well. You're also allowed to talk about holy things. So these are the conversations that should happen. What's freedom? What's freedom? By the way, when you are enslaved to initiative, you're not free. When you're a slave to it all being up to me, when you're a slave to micromanaging, when you're a slave to power trip, when you're a slave to being in charge and in control, when you're enslaved to being a control freak, you're a slave. Some people have to liberate themselves from being a control freak. It's not a very nice name. We don't really call anyone else a freak. How come the person who likes to take control is called a freak? What? I don't call anyone else a freak. On behalf of control freaks, I'm insulted. We don't call anyone else a freak. That's not nice. But anyway, trying to be less freakish. But that's also to being enslaved. We're enslaved to the needing to be in control, needing to have power, needing to solve problems, needing to manage everything, micromanage everything. That's a conversation for Pesach. How do we liberate ourselves? But then you have other people who say fake and fraudulent emunah. They hide behind counterfeit emunah. Oh, you know why I sleep in? You know why I don't work hard? You know why I didn't study for the test? You know why I don't go to the doctor? You know why I don't work out? It's all in Hashem's hands. That's the freak. We call them a fake emunah freak. That's not. So this is a conversation for Pesach. Where's the balance? How do we strike the balance? What does Hashem want from us? What do we learn from the first days of Pesach and the second days of Pesach? How do we find the balance between the first days and the second days and figure it all out together? Mitzvah Hashem will pick up with it next week. Please remain for all of Sefer Tehillim, certainly on behalf of the two soldiers whose names we just mentioned, Moshe ben Yehuda, Yehudit Shulamit, and Shmuel ben Yehudit, Shmuel Akiva Shmuel, Akiva ben Yehudit Shulamit, and Moshe ben Yehudit Shulamit, and all the soldiers. Please stay to finish all of Sefer Tehillim.